Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all you need. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support at sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, also Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google, as well as Google Play, Apple, and more. And subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show YouTube channel and take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. We're here with a wonderful gentleman based in San Jose, California, the author of Rental Secrets and owner of RentalSecrets.net, also real estate consultant. He's into developing properties since 2003. Also has a how-to book and just gives everybody the idea of how to rent and the secrets of renting an apartment, the industry secrets, getting a better deal, and a lot more with today's situation. And with the lowdown about it, ladies and gentlemen, this guy just loves to rent out his information, the wonderful Justin Pogue. Justin, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, happy to be here, Mike.
Always happy to be here as well, too. So you're the author of Rental Secrets and the owner of RentalSecrets.net, and you're a real estate consultant based in San Jose, California. You've developed property since 2003, and you got your how-to book, which is out in the market now. So before we get into all that, tell us how I got started.
I got started in real estate by accident, actually.
Really?
When I left graduate school in 2002, my plan was to go into management consulting, but life had other plans for me. I graduated into the then imploding tech bubble, and all of the management consulting clients were trying to figure out what they needed to do next, and which meant the management consulting companies didn't need as many people. So I had to kind of go to a plan B, as they say. And it's actually a good lesson for people who are going into school. The world looks one way when you go in, and it can look completely different when you come out.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So after that, took a road trip with my mother, actually, and we were driving down through Florida, going to all the different county recorders offices, looking at the what they call the lands available list. So this is a list of properties that the tax liens have gone to auction, nobody bought them, and we're sifting through the list. And we actually found some properties on there where we could pay the back taxes, go through some legal work, and get the title on the property cleared. And then we were able to flip those properties to developers. So that's really how I got started in real estate.
And what's the one moment that influenced you into the rental properties, real estate, and also especially writing the book?
Well, getting into rental properties, what inspired me to do that was, you mean I can do work once and rent it out and create a continual stream of cash flow for myself? So kind of discovering that not just as a theoretical concept, but as something that I could actually do in the real world, that really kind of spurred my interest in rental properties and developing properties and being a landlord. The book came much later. I had a job in California where I was managing 200 apartments for a company. And when I left that company, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. And somebody suggested that I might want to write a book. It was kind of an off the cuff kind of suggestion. But I said, okay, well, let's go take a look at this. So I go into the bookstore and I look at the real estate section. Every book there is written for owners, managers, and investors. I did not see one book written from the perspective of the renter, which is odd because that's 40 million households that are bringing the money to the table every month to make the entire industry float, and nobody's talking to them.
Wow, that is something. That's a big reason why you decided to write the book. And why did you choose the title Rental Secrets?
Well, my original title was way too long and way too wordy. I found that out when I went to a book writing seminar. And it got shortened to Rental Secrets because we are talking about renting, but they're secrets because no one tells people what they really need to know. It's like when I went to college and I graduated, there were two things I needed: a job and a place to live.
Mm-hmm.
But we never talked about the place to live. What should I be looking for in an apartment? How can I negotiate with the landlord? What language are landlords even speaking? None of that got covered. So, and even to this day, college students are left to like just figure it out once they graduate and learn from the University of Life, which, as we both know, is one of the most expensive universities ever.
And do the people really have the ability to influence on what they pay for rent?
They do. They do. And where these powers come from is the fact that real estate is a very fragmented industry. If you look at the fact, like I mentioned before, there are 40 million renting households approximately. If you look at the really big apartment management companies, the like the Greystars and Avalons, they're managing hundreds of thousands of apartments. But compared to 40 million, it's still pretty much a drop in the bucket. Mm-hmm. So all of these different landlords, they all have different needs, different issues that are going on behind the scenes. Well, they don't tell you what issues they're facing. Maybe they have an IRS lien they have to pay. Maybe they have a balloon payment on their mortgage due. You don't know. But when you actually to negotiate, they're going to be responding to your negotiation efforts based on what they're dealing with in their life. Mm-hmm. So there are many opportunities for people to actually negotiate with their landlord and with other landlords who might potentially become their landlord.
Mm-hmm. And how can people maximize their power of negotiation?
Well, maximizing that power of negotiation starts with what I call social capital. Okay, if you're living in an apartment community, follow the community rules, pay your rent on time, clean up after your pet. Don't play loud music till 3 a.m. That establishes positive social capital with your neighbors and with the landlord, and that forms a good foundation with which for you to start negotiating. Mm-hmm. Because one of the things that landlords are dealing with is if you've been living in their community for a year and you've done all those things, you're a known quantity. There's very little risk in dealing with you. Mm-hmm. Someone else coming from the outside that they don't know, they're now taking on more risk. They have questions in their mind. Is this person going to follow the community rules? Is this person going to pay on time? Is this person going to keep my residents up till 3 or 4 in the morning? Because honestly, one bad resident can knock value off of their entire investment.
Mm-hmm. And where is this power to influence your rent come from as well, too? So,
yeah. So I mean, you're thinking about the rental process from the landlord's perspective, and that's the part that isn't really taught, because that risk is real. As a landlord, they're trying to create the most profit they can out of their property. Well, if I've got people playing music till 3 a.m. driving away my good residents, that makes it much harder for me to do that.
Mm-hmm. And of course, too, it's just like playing music at 3 a.m. and potentially causing damage. Like say just have your cat and dog pee all over, do the business on the carpet floor, or maybe punch holes in the wall after a few drinks as well. And are they required to repair any apartment they damage?
Yes and no. Mm-hmm. So the yes part is, as you're living, the landlord accepts a security deposit when you move in. That security deposit is to repair anything beyond normal wear and tear. Okay, mm-hmm. And so that's the yes part. Mm-hmm. The no part is that the carpet and the paint on the walls, there's this accounting concept called useful life. And we'll take paint as an example. So paint typically has a useful life of 2 years. Well, what does useful life mean? That's an accounting term that says this should be good for this period of time. And in case of paint, after 1 year, you've used half of it up. After 2 years, it's all used up. Mm-hmm. So this individual that we're talking about has stayed in the apartment for more than 2 years. You've gone beyond the useful life of the paint. And that means if the landlord has to repaint when they move out after 2 years, they shouldn't be charged anything for that. Now, holes in the wall is a different story. The hole itself the resident would have to pay for that repair. But the paint, because of this useful life concept, they would not have to pay for if they had been there beyond the useful life of the paint.
And what about leaks in the like say foundation or pipes broken or broken appliances and whatever else? Who should pay for that? The renter or the landlord?
So in a lot of these cases, the renter is not responsible for leaky pipes, broken appliances, and the like. Usually those are issues that are beyond the resident's responsibility. Now there are some exceptions. For example, if the apartment has a washer and dryer in the unit and the resident continually overfills the washer and dryer with clothes beyond its normal capacity, that then was something that the resident might be charged for. But as long as they're using the appliances within the normal parameters, they're not going to be charged to repair those appliances.
That's something as well too. We'll talk about the affordability, the rent situation, and some of your book as well too. You listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all you need. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition way. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, also Anchor FM and Radio Public, also on iTunes, Google Play, and Apple. You can also take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device and subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on YouTube as well. We're here with author Justin Pogue, the author of Rental Secrets and owner of RentalSecrets.net. Also a real estate consultant based in San Jose, California. He's been developing properties since 2003. And, talk about the book about rental secrets. We covered some of the issues, like, say, with the repairs, the powers to be, and everything else. And you can tell us a little more about the book as well, too. And what should people know?
Yeah, so definitely people need to actually be aware that they can actually negotiate, whether it's an individual owner that's managing the property, or even whether it's a corporation that's managing the property. It's all a matter of properly presenting your argument to them so it makes sense. And that's where learning to look at this process from the landlord's perspective is really important. So one interesting option is that people have is just the timing of when they rent. So we're just past summer now. That's basically the high season of renting, and that's when the prices are highest. And it happens every year. People are trying to get situated before the school year starts. A lot of kids are graduating from college or trying to get their apartment before they start that new job and all of that. And all of that's great. However, if you wait to rent that apartment until, say, late fall into winter, there is an actual discount that you can get because of that timing. Many, many fewer people are looking for apartments during that time frame. And there are still apartments that are available because life happens. People need to move because of a job or whatever their life circumstances are. And the landlord's not going to wait until summer comes around again to rent it. They want to rent it as soon as possible because every day it's vacant, they're not getting any money. But more importantly, it's money that they can't get back. It's gone forever.
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, so how this kind of translates to the average person is just by waiting, depending on what city you're in and what type of apartment you're looking for, that discount could be as much as 7%. So on rent of $1,000, that's $70 a month that can go towards your car payment or food or whatever other priorities you have.
And how much should pay a person in rent each month? How much should they pay?
So rent is going to vary drastically depending on the geography that you're in. So say, for example, where I am in San Jose, California, finding a 2-bedroom apartment for $2,500 is considered to be somewhat of a bargain. Whereas for example, in a couple hours outside of New Orleans in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, a place where my family owns property, a 2-bedroom apartment will rent for approximately $500 to $550 a month. And it will be and it will be an apartment of reasonable quality.
Mm-hmm. Or let's pick some areas like, say, Florida, the Carolinas, or say Chicago, or say Billings, Montana, Seattle, New York, or even say Fargo, North Dakota, or Kansas City, Kansas. It's like, what should the average rents be in those areas? You can just pick one, like the most populated, or to like the least populated. You can pick like any city you want, or in like maybe a strange city, maybe Des Moines, or say no one's ever heard of, like
So
let's see, Beckley, West Virginia.
Yeah. So what I would suggest, we can narrow it down to specific city, but what might be most useful for your listeners is, how do I determine what is a reasonable rent for my specific area? And that process is really going out and looking at a number of websites, either Craigslist or apartments.com, and to kind of take a survey of the different communities around your area. And then that will help you start to determine what the price range is, because every geographic area is going to have a price range. Then, of course, luxury apartments are going to rent for more than those that are more basic. But it will give you a range of what's available in your market, and in that way, you'll know what makes sense for you in your specific situation.
And how can we find more affordable options in hot rental markets?
So finding affordable options really comes down to the first process that I mentioned, which is figuring out what the actual range is of prices. But in terms of getting affordable options within that, that's where we get to the negotiation strategies that I talk about in Rental Secrets. And here's a good strategy that I use in the book, where every apartment complex will tell you our rents are competitive with the market. And it sounds great. It has a specific meaning for them, and we want to make sure that we understand what that meaning is if we're going to be renting in that market. So when they say that, what that means is they take out a map, they put a pin in their community, and then they draw a circle around that community a mile or a mile and a half out, or maybe even 2 miles. And the other communities in that circle that they think are comparable to theirs, that's who they're comparing to. That's their perspective.
So basically, it's just comparing, like, say, where you're about to live, comparing to another apartment complex. That's what they base it on. Just simply like maybe what, a 2, 3, 5 mile radius or so?
Yeah, they choose a radius around their community based on their location, because guess what? They can't change that. But you as the resident, you can change your location. So if you chose that apartment building because it was a half hour east of your job, well, guess what? There are likely a whole bunch of other communities that are a half hour west of your job that you might find comparable. So when you're talking to your landlord about this rent increase that they're trying to offer you, say, well, I've looked at other communities that are comparable that I would live in. These are the prices that they're giving me, and yours is out of line with those. I'd like to stay, but maybe we can do a $100 rent increase as opposed to the $300 rent increase that you've given me. Because the idea is I have viable options in other communities, and if you want to keep me because I've established all of this social capital like we discussed earlier, then we need to negotiate what we're going to do going forward.
Now, another question too before we go to break, is free rent really possible?
Absolutely. That's one of the best strategies, and it's very flexible too. So many owners who have small apartment buildings, say 15 to 20 units, they don't really want to be there on site to manage the things that occur, showing the apartment, letting vendors in, picking up around the property, those kinds of things. So typically what they'll do is they'll deputize one of the residents to take care of those issues for them. And in some cases, that person can actually receive free rent on their apartment while providing those services to the landlord. And this strategy actually works really well for a small family where one of the people wants to stay home, and they can take on that role within the apartment building while the other person goes to work, which gives them the opportunity to stay home with their child. So it can be a really good strategy for certain people.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing too, and of course, have plenty of fun along the way.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, all right. We'll talk more about the book as well, too. You listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@SonicWebStudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM and Radio Public. Also on iTunes, Google Play, and Apple. You can also take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device and subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on YouTube as well. We're here with Justin Pogue, the author of Rental Secrets, the book, and also the owner of RentalSecrets.net, also real estate consultant based in San Jose, California. And let's just recap a little bit about the book as well, too. And you may want to tell everybody, where can they purchase the book, first of all?
Yeah, absolutely. So the book is available at RentalSecrets.net. That's the ebook that's available there. And the ebook is also available at BarnesandNoble.com, iTunes, and a number of other online retailers. Amazon has the physical book that's available there, as well as those other retailers as well, Barnes and Noble and Apple iTunes and all of that. So yeah, there are plenty of great places to get these secrets from, and really start using them in your daily lives. And the book is actually designed for people to sit down, and within 3 to 4 hours, you've read what's in the book and you've digested it and you're ready to go use it. And I'm very cognizant of the fact that I'm competing with movies that have explosions in them. So
that is amazing as well, too. And of course, there's always the rent to versus owning debate that going on in real estate. And maybe you can talk about that, the renting versus owning, say, a house or a property or even a condo.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That is a debate that's going on daily in a lot of families. The prospect of renting means basically there's a lot of things that you're not responsible for. As we mentioned before, like repairing of the appliances and those kinds of things, structural issues with the property, any landscaping, grading issues. Typically, the renter is not responsible for those things. So renting has a different mindset than owning, where owning, you are actually responsible for everything that happens to that property. If somebody trips and falls on your property, you become responsible. That's why owners have insurance, and they have to think about things in a different way. So that's the first thing. There's a difference in mindset. Second thing is that, in terms of looking at the monthly cost, in a lot of cases, sometimes owning is preferable to renting. If you consider the fact that the monthly cost on that mortgage, assuming you've got the right type of mortgage, that cost is fixed. It won't be changing each year. Whereas when you're renting, that cost can very well change, it can very well increase year after year. Now with owning, you have to come up with a down payment. And that's typically where a lot of people have trouble pulling together that down payment. Because you've probably seen the statistic that 45% of America can't put together $400 in case of an emergency. So actually getting a down payment together that might be $20,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 is proving difficult for a lot of people.
And also, too, there's also major issues in rent in the USA as well, too. Maybe you can address some of those, and we can also get back to your book as well, too, and how people can combat these issues.
Yeah, so one of the reasons why rent is increasing so quickly in a lot of these urban areas is historically there's been a bias towards building single family houses. That's been the focus. And as a result, the amount of properties that need to be built just aren't being built. We're not using the land that we have in the most efficient way, which would be multiple story multifamily dwellings. And that's kind of resulted in just a supply and demand issue, which is going on in the background behind all of this. So my book is more focused on, okay, that's going on. We can have policy changes to affect that. But in the meantime, I need a roof over my head. So how do I navigate this environment so that I can actually accomplish that? And that's really what Rental Secrets is focused on. So using that timing strategy that we mentioned before, or using that market information pricing strategy that we mentioned before, that's a way that you can talk to the landlord in their language so that they understand what you're saying, and you're much more likely to be heard when you're talking about reducing a renewal offer or obtaining free rent in exchange for the services of helping to manage their property.
And of course, once again, just to recap, what are the steps to follow when negotiating with your landlord?
Well, the first step is build up your social capital, follow the community rules, and work and play well with the neighbors that you have in that community. Secondly, gather market information from communities that you would actually live in that the landlord isn't looking at, because when they do their pricing strategy, they're looking at it from their perspective, not what might work for you. So bring that kind of information to the table. And thirdly, from the strategies that we've talked about, time when you're looking for an apartment, because there are certainly better times to be looking for apartments than others if you're looking for that discount.
And when's the best time to rent again?
That would be late fall into winter.
And can the college grads wait for winter also?
Yes. Now that's gonna take some strategizing. So if all those parents out there of college grads who may be on the hook for this apartment once they get it, it might be good to let them hang out at home for a few months before we run out and get that apartment, so that we're all on the hook for less money each month.
That's amazing too. And now let's say I've narrowed my apartment choices to say a few. Now, how do I choose the best one for me?
So one of the issues that people need to look at is distance, not only from work, but also from daycare and the other resources that you might be using on a daily, weekly, or other semi-regular basis. Secondly, looking at the amenities that these communities have, a lot of there's basically amenity wars going on between apartment complexes, but the idea is you're looking for amenities that you will actually use, number one, and number two, that are not replicated in the community around you. So you may be looking at an apartment building that has a playground, let's say, but if there's a playground down the street that your tax dollars are paying for, why pay for it twice? Because any amenity in the community you're paying for.
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. And then three, which is becoming an increasingly important issue, is parking. Does the community that you're looking at have the number of parking spaces allocated for you that you need? And if it doesn't, what is the street parking situation? Because in some communities, street parking has become, shall we say, a competitive Olympic sport. And that space may not be there on the street for you when you get home at 6 or 7 o'clock, which is just going to serve to raise your stress level that much more.
Right. And of course, getting back to playgrounds as well, too, that you talked about having a playground in an apartment complex, but then you got a playground that's over where your tax dollars are being spent, like in public. So would it be a better idea for families to get a playground that's in the apartment complex, or just go ahead and bypass the apartment complex and just use the one your tax dollars is going to, like in a public area?
Right. So the idea is within the rental amount that you're paying each month, all of the amenities that you're receiving have been priced into that. So that playground is part of that price. So the idea is, why pay for that playground when there's one down the street? So let me choose a community that doesn't have the playground, and I can use I can use a public playground down the street. Now, let's flip that around. If you think the playground is too far away because your child is only 3 or 4 years of age, then maybe having the playground on site is valuable to you.
Mm-hmm.
So really, it's an examination of what you as an individual need and want in a community, and making sure that the dollars you're spending are specifically tied to those needs.
Mm-hmm. That's something too. And of course, paying $4,000 a month for a one-bedroom apartment, well, the circumstances that might push people to pay more in rent.
Yeah. So usually when people are moving, they wait until the last minute to go and do their apartment search, which means it ends up being this whirlwind search, usually consisting of a total of 1 day. And they end up making suboptimal choices because they haven't given themselves enough time to really figure out what the market is actually has available.
Mm-hmm.
And if that and that I'm sure that $4,000 apartment is very nice. It's probably got a doorman and some other things going on. But do you really need that, or are those just wants? And
Mm-hmm.
it's important to separate the wants from the needs, because if you really think about it, $4,000 a month is $48,000 a year, and that's after tax money, which
Mm-hmm.
means you must have earned approximately 60 in order to pay that 48.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a significant amount of money that you're paying, and you're not necessarily getting what you need. You're getting a lot of stuff that might fulfill your wants or might not. So it's really good to spend the time on your apartment search to make
Mm-hmm.
sure you're getting what you need to be getting out of it.
And once again, how can we afford more affordable options in hot rental markets?
Well, definitely in hot rental markets, give yourself the time to actually look at the different options that are available. Number one. Number two, also you're giving yourself that time means you can comparison shop. So one of the stories I tell in the book is there are these, and they're going on in every city. There are people on the corner with these signs that are talking about rent here, 4 weeks free, blah blah blah. That type of advertising is incredibly expensive. But what they're trying to do is get the most qualified residents to their property. So really look at the offer that they're making and see if do I really need 4 weeks free, or would it be better to take that 4 weeks and average it out over the year so I can reduce the rental amount that I'm paying for this particular property. As far as the apartment community is concerned, they're getting the same amount of money basically,
Mm-hmm.
but it's all in how you use it, and you want to use it in a way that's best for you.
Mm-hmm. That was amazing too. And what are some of the areas in the book that we haven't covered yet? I mean, we covered free rent, we covered the landlords and market competition and how to negotiate. And is there something else that we need to bring to the forefront in terms of your book?
Oh, definitely. Let's talk about the power of proximity.
Mm-hmm.
So, as someone who's renting, you become intimately familiar with the property that you're living in.
Mm-hmm.
The landlord is not; they don't live there. So, if you as an individual are in any way handy, can make minor repairs and that kind of thing, and are willing to take that off of the landlord's plate, that is yet another way that you can reduce what you're paying in monthly rent.
Mm. Okay.
Because being landlords bought typically landlords start investing in property because they went to some seminar, and the seminar told them all the great things about investing in property.
Mm-hmm.
They left out the other half, the half where you're responsible for toilets, repairs, maintenance, marketing, customer relations, the property management side of this. They just assumed that you'll have people who will handle that, and maybe you will and maybe you won't. But there are a lot of landlords, and I talk to them all the time, who are stressed out about managing their property. And if you, as a resident, can help them manage the property and reduce that stress level, it is worth real dollars
Mm-hmm.
to you.
And that's amazing as well, too. Once again, Justin Pogue, the author of Rental Secrets and owner of RentalSecrets.net. I'd like to thank you for your time. And just a couple of things. Who do you consider biggest influence in your real estate career?
Definitely a big influence is Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And um, And actually, I'd also have to credit my mother, because if I have time, I want to tell a quick story. So she started as a real estate agent in the 80s, and back when adjustable rate mortgages were really big.
Mm-hmm.
And all the agents were telling them, all the other agents were saying, well, you'll get a raise at your job, no problem, accept the adjustable rate mortgage, buy the house that you want to buy. She was telling them, you don't know if you're going to get a raise, buy something that you can afford now, and then if you get a raise, you can buy more later. She didn't get sales, but the other agents did. But many of those people ended up losing those houses because they didn't get the raise that agent told them to expect.
Wow. Okay.
So she's been a really big influence on how I look at property and my real estate journey.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing too. What's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Best advice to give people at this point is to definitely look for competent advice from the realtors. Don't just pick somebody out of the phone book. Find someone that you know who has had an experience with any realtor that you might use, and really ask them questions about their quality of their experience and how that person treated them. Because there are a lot of real estate agents out there that treat real estate as transactional and not as a relationship. And you want a relationship.
That is amazing too. It's good to know. And once again, Justin, I'd like to thank you for your time. You've been fantastic. Justin Pogue, the author of Rental Secrets and owner of RentalSecrets.net. And what are some of your upcoming projects, and what's the website? How do people contact you, and where can they purchase the book? And most importantly, who is the book for?
So I actually have a speaking engagement on the 12th in San Jose, California. I'm planning another book, which is based on giving information about legally what is an apartment, what should I be getting, and what does that mean. And that book would actually cover it in all 50 states. And I'm also planning a video series to kind of take people through, okay, I've graduated college, I'm ready to start renting now, what do I need to know, all the way through to I'm done renting, I'm ready to start owning, how should my mindset be shifting when I'm ready to make that change. So all of that information, all of those products are upcoming, but you can find the book Rental Secrets at RentalSecrets.net, also available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Apple as well.
That is amazing. Justin, you've been fantastic. Thank you for your time. Looking forward to having you again soon, and please do us a favor, keep us up to date.
All right, will do. Thanks, Mike.